Hey everybody, this is Reverie Planetarian here with an interesting add-on to something I remember kind of giving up on when I first tried it, and that is making the Norton Nemesis engine, because I thought you couldn't get the crazy bore and stroke that engine had. And it turns out all I was doing wrong was I wasn't using the variant capacity. Because it turns out that when you change the bore of that, and then lower the stroke here, you get an engine that has the same properties as one of those very stroked out over square engines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the Nemesis one more shot. So what look did I have for it? I think it's yellow. Left it naturally aspirated. Performance super. Advanced ignition timing. Air quality. Long tubular. I'm going to work my way back to using racing parts. I'm going to see what happens when I do it this way. So I've got my flat flame engine, that's all in place. So let's test it and let's see where we start. We start as we do previously, with valve float messing with the engine, but we get a much peakier engine out of it, whose power we can bump up just a bit. If we go through a race intake, we get... Let's not mess with that just yet. Let's do street stuff first, then race stuff. So with the fuel mixture changed, the compression bumped up until the engine gets really peaky, we get just shy of the 235 horsepower that they were looking for. Now we're talking. And if we had the even fancier 5 valves per cylinder. Now, in '98, 5 valves per cylinder was actually being experimented with in Formula 1 circles, although it wasn't working out very well for, I believe it was footwork that was having problems with that. We actually beat the Nemesis's power numbers for the same capacity by 3 horsepower. And if we were to add a race intake, and race tubular, if this was a bike made on commission, we would beat the horsepower numbers of the original Norton Nemesis by 17 brake horsepower, or 17 engine horsepower, I suppose. Let's free up the exhaust a little bit so it breathes better, and we beat it by a flat 25. If you went race. But if you were trying to make a street bike, then the max amount of power you would get is this, 241 horsepower, so you would handily beat it by 6 horses. Now, I know I haven't rolled the clock back to 1998 on this one like I did in the original Nemesis video, but really, what you have to bear in mind is that the Nemesis engine never really came to fruition. I mean, the ideas behind it were really optimistic, and what the guys working on it really wanted to do with it, they never really got to. There was always some legal issue or some engineering problem, and the market for these kinds of bikes is always really small. But theoretically, if you were going to make the Norton Nemesis, if you were going to do it with today's technology and cost was no object, sure, you could do it. That's something to think about. Of course, if there's a market for it, I don't know. But hey, the Ninja and the Ninja's out there, the Hayabusa's still out there, maximum speed is still a big thing amongst bike manufacturers, even though they don't publicize it. And everybody knows the Ninja H2R gets something like 300 horsepower in a non-street legal bike, and the H2 only gets about 200 something, so, well, something to think about. Beating the Japanese at what became their own game? Who knows?